What's up, reefers? Welcome back to another Reef Chat with ReefStash. Today we have Tank Mates CEO Nick Gonzalez. He was also a guest on Shark Tank. He's got a licensed product with Nios. He has new ventures coming out, and we're just super stoked to have him here today. I'm going to get the fish fed, as we always do, and then Nick is backstage right now, and we'll bring him on. Give me a second. Give my son Zion a shout out. What's up, Zion? Thank you for setting up the backstage for us, getting this live stream going. I appreciate you, buddy. I couldn't do this without you. Go ahead and give us a one-liner.
Thanks.
All right, let's bring Nick on. I removed you and you added yourself. There you go. Nick, what's up, brother?
How are you doing?
Good to see you, man. Thank you for joining.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Yep, absolutely, dude. I'm super stoked. I'm glad you were able to join us. I know you have a surgery coming up, so thank you, brother, for making time for us. We appreciate you. Thank you to your son as well. What's up, Mom? Thank you for joining. We're live on Facebook and YouTube, ReefStash channel. Make sure you share this live stream, like it, tell your friends about it. We're talking about reefs usually every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Today, we're hitting it at Tuesday just because Nick has a surgery coming up. So I wanted to make sure we got this live stream in before he had to hit up his surgery. So thank you for joining, all of y'all. We're going to start by talking a little bit about Nick and what got him into the hobby, and we'll get into all the things that he's doing as an entrepreneur in both the reefing community as well as in other industries. What's up, babe? Thank you for joining. Appreciate you. I'm going to try and keep an eye on comments, so if y'all have any questions throughout this live stream, just drop them in the comments. Make sure you hit a like and subscribe. And Nick, let's get it going, dude. Tell me a little bit about yourself and share with the viewers how you got into reef keeping and just keeping fish tanks in general.
So my whole experience with saltwater started when I was in my early 20s. Always had saltwater tanks, and my main career was for a youth counselor at different detention facilities around the state. But I always kept saltwater tanks, and I've always been in the hobby, just saltwater fish, no coral. But I would have freshwater tanks because I would always have feeder tanks for puffers or eels and stuff like that. And then through my experience with the adolescent juvenile program, I was able to develop a product that got picked up by Shark Tank. And after that experience, I was able to open up some arcades all around the country. So I had them in several states around the country, and I always had saltwater tanks in all my arcades. And the gaming systems that I used were these fish games where you shoot and kill fish and all this stuff. So it was a cool environment to have my aquariums in. So I would just travel around the country and, maintain my equipment, and I'd hire maintenance people to take care of the tanks and the corals. But throughout having my own tanks in my room, in my living room, usually have one or two. In my bedroom, I always have one. Usually I've always had some different ways that we learned throughout being in the hobby to do different things, different hacks and stuff. So when COVID hit, I kind of within 2 months had to shut down all my businesses, and all my equipment got stranded all over the country, and I couldn't pick up my equipment. I couldn't pick up my aquariums, and it was just devastating because I couldn't even contact the owners of these businesses because everybody was just like, everybody just got shut down. And so I ended up having to, on the fly, create another business because I lost all my income within 2 months, and I was actually going to open up a tank mates facility down there in Texas, and I abandoned a laser system and a whole business down there due to COVID. And I just started thinking about different products, started designing some tank cleaners, and was meeting with Tanked ATM out in Vegas a few times. And yeah, I don't know how far you want to go down that rabbit hole, but that's what really sparked this whole bubble trap aquarium product business that I've been in is COVID. You know, COVID kind of, I had to pivot and figure something out, and ended up just turning my hobby into a business, and it's been working out pretty good. So.
That's awesome. So a lot of our viewers are probably know you and your traps. We'll get into that. I want to first talk about some of your Shark Tank experience. You mentioned laser. So I know that's related to your Shark Tank your Shark Tank experience. Let's say what's up to Adrian. What's up? Thank you for joining. Yeah, my wife said, way to adapt, Nick. That's commendable. Absolutely. So the arcades. So you had an arcade business that was, how did that get started?
Oh, I just, I went on Shark Tank and it went nuts because I invented this device, and it was a tattoo removal device, and it worked really well at removing tattoos. So I sold a whole bunch of them for about 5 years. I was the #1 selling tattoo removal device on Amazon for about 5 years. And then I was able to get into a couple of different other businesses. I had a nightclub, I had arcades all over the country. And, you know, I always had a fish theme. Even in my nightclub, I'd have these huge screens with Reef playing in the background because it's real soothing and relaxing. And, you know, it was just like, you know, I've always had fish around me. But so I was able to kind of, from the money I made from Shark Tank and being on there, I kind of started opening up these arcades. And then I got into these little fish games. And that took off too. So I was able to do quite a bit with that all around the country, and just Texas, Florida, Michigan, Wyoming, Nebraska. I had them all around Colorado. And then, like I said, COVID hit, and within 2 months, I mean, everything got shut down. And I just, like I said, I had to pivot and figure something out. And luckily I had been thinking of all these little DIY hacks, and man, why doesn't somebody make a product? Why doesn't somebody make this? Why doesn't somebody make that? So I developed these, I have this journal, and I journaled a whole bunch of different diagrams of all these different products I wanted to develop at some point when I got the chance throughout the years. And then when COVID hit, I just pulled the trigger and just started playing around and making prototypes and selling them on eBay. And I had a little Shopify store, and we'll get into whether or not you want to sell on Amazon, but you definitely don't want to test the market on Amazon. You want to make sure you got your products pretty dialed in before you get on Amazon. But yeah, it ended up turning out pretty good. Things are still going really well with the bubble trap because, like I said, that wasn't even what I was pitching to Tanked and ATM. It was my little tank cleaners. If anybody that's followed my history, it was these little tank cleaners I was pitching, and they had a little bearing in them, and they swirled around, and and they were selling pretty good. But Brett Raymer over at Tanked, that third meeting, he said, you know what the industry really needs is a trap. And I said, man, I got this trap I use at home, and it just sits on the back of my tank, and whenever I need to catch my fish, I can catch them all in like less than a minute. And he's like, no way. So I flew home, and this is the actual first one right here. And
look at that. That's so cool, dude.
Yeah. So this is just a lanyard for my jet ski, and it's just a magnet with a little mirror, and I would just pump bait in it through this little nozzle, and then when the fish goes in, and then you just pull whatever, if you've seen how it works, it's pretty cool how it works. But so I flew home, caught all my fish, made a video, threw it on my IG. Somebody, while I was asleep, so I had to fly back out to Vegas the next day to meet with them again. And overnight it went viral, got like 70,000 views. Somebody pulled it from my IG.
That's after you met with Tank.
Yeah. So
share the pictures that we have for Nick. We'll just jump right into that right now. Not that, Zon, the other one.
So yeah, it went viral just in the few hours I was asleep. And
the other folder, Z.
And went out to Vegas to meet with Tanked again with a little bit of clout, saying, I guess you're right. I guess there is a demand for it because it went viral so fast. And then so we were going to do some stuff with their new show called Lifestyles of the Fish and Famous. And then through what ATM decided to go in other directions, the virality of my videos, because it got 100 million views like right away, those first couple of videos. And the No Innovation picked it up. Cheddar picked it up. A couple of other social media, the Daily Mail picked it up, and they were doing these little stories on my bubble trap. And so that kind of got me meetings with Ecotech. So I went out to Pennsylvania, met with Ecotech, and toured their facility, met with their team, and then we kicked it around for a month or two, and then they got back and said it's not really something in their wheelhouse. So they handed me off to NIOS out of Germany, who does a lot more work with clear acrylics. And so then I started negotiations with NIOS to get into a license agreement with them for the basic version of this trap. And when you look at the NIOS version, they made some changes and got their own patent, which I'm totally fine with. They made it more like an oval, and they use a little spigot instead of the bait syringe and stuff, but still an excellent trap. But they got, I believe, their own patent on their design, which is fine. But we still have a licensing agreement on the design, so it works out.
Let me go to the NIOS. Okay, here it is. It's freaking awesome, dude.
Yeah,
I can see how it's. Hold on, let me share my screen. Share this tab. Zon, I'm going to share my screen.
And they're great. NIOS, they come out with, they're kind of like the Tesla of the industry. So for NIOS to be the ones to license my product to, I was super happy.
Yeah, I remember getting your bubble trap, and that was like right before I think NIOS licensed, or at least made it being public. Yeah. And when I saw because I hadn't heard the news, and then I saw some ads for the NIOS trap, I was like, yo, that's Nick's design. And then I looked a little deeper, and I saw you had some posts about it being licensed by NIOS. But man, super cool, dude. Look at that design.
Yeah, they're great. Super sleek. They got beautiful stuff, and man, I'm just proud to even be in business with them, because everything they put out is top notch. As everybody knows, NIOS is like one of the best in the business, and so is Ecotech. I'd have been happy with either one of them but NIOS ended up picking it up. So
it looks so awesome, dude. Let me share a video of me using the tank, or using your trap. Where's my share this tab? Here we go. What's up, Rick? Thanks for joining, dude. Appreciate you.
Yeah, and thanks to you and everybody that's let me test my prototype, because honestly, I've been just pushing out prototypes one after another, trying to listen to feedback and change the design. So thanks for even testing this one out, because it's a wicked trap, the one that you have, but that's hard to make.
Yeah, dude, it's so cool. When I first saw your traps, I was like, all right, this stuff looks like some futuristic, just state of the art kind of stuff. And it looked confusing, but once you get it in your hands and you understand what's happening, it's so easy to use. So if y'all look here, there's these bait tubes where you're pushing food into the trap, and it goes into this bubble. And it's such a cool design, because they go through, what do you call it, a feeding frenzy, right? They see the bubbles, they see all this food going around, and all the fish just go crazy. They start going towards it. They don't really know what's going on. Let me play this video so y'all can see what's going on. Zon, if you could cut the audio. There we go.
Can I narrate over real quick? Yeah.
Tell me again.
Oh, I just was going to narrate over it, because I haven't seen. This trap is awesome. I love it.
It's so cool. Here, I'll play it, and then we'll mute it, and then you can. All right, let me mute the audio. I don't even know how to mute it on here. Actually, I'll just thumb through it. So go ahead, talk.
Just so all of us that have had aquariums know, when you got to get a fish out and you're netting a fish, you're disturbing the whole ecosystem. You're moving stuff. You're pissing everybody off. And fish have that vagus nerve that goes alongside their body. So they're feeling all that stress. Whether they're the target fish or not, you're stressing everybody out. And corals feel that too. So my design is really trying to attract the fish. All my designs are attract the fish to the trap area. And that's why my fish whisper, it has the rattle ball, the fish rattle in it. So if they're very curious, they'll come to the area, they'll see the floating fish within the main bubble, And then with your design there's a second bubble within it. So that kind of like a snow globe, that food is going around in that interior bubble like nuts. And then they can't really see it, but doesn't that design have a magnifying glass on the
It
front?
does. Yes.
Yeah. So, and then you can inspect your fish for like ick or illness with the 10x magnification. I mean, it's a really awesome trap, but it's really time consuming to make that trap. And if you've been following me, I make a lot of really cool stuff, but man, when it comes down to it, it's hard to make any money with it because it's just too hard. It's, I got to make everything. So,
which is why NIOS licensed your patent and used a very simple version of this trap, right?
Oh yeah, but it's still super expensive. Injection molding, or it has been 5 years ago, super expensive to get something injection molded. Every little part needs its own CNC mold made. Then you got to do a minimum order like 3,000 units. Then you need to get a shipping container. And back through all COVID, there was a shipping container. The people were hoarding them in different countries, so it was like 26 grand just to get a shipping container. Then you got to fill it. Then you got to, it was just like so hard to get a product mass produced during COVID. And even now it is somewhat, but luckily I'm finding some small minimum order companies that'll make small batches for like 200-300 at a time. So that's what we're going to do in 2025.
I have used the trap for observation, right? Like a few of the tanks, I'll just leave them in there, especially if they're getting beat up. And I'll just kind of inspect them from that magnifying on the other side.
Perfect. Love that you're using it for that, because it's kind of like a medical tool too.
Yeah.
Trap. Yeah.
So you can see this is when I had these lyre-tailed damsels, and this trap was able to catch half of them for me. But man, dude, the last 3 that I had, it took forever to catch them. They came, they're like, nah, we're not going in there. They stayed away from it. But all the other fish, the tangs, are like in and out nonstop, which is great because tangs, when you have aggressive tangs, you really want to catch those guys. But yeah, this trap has been awesome, man. I
need to get you another one. Yeah, for those damsels that are stubborn. Usually, when you get them and you get 2 traps in there, the way their brains work, they just see it as a different territory, and they're not spooked, or So that's how I was able to. People have that issue where they're able to catch like 4 of 6 damsels or something, and then I just send them another trap, and they put 2 in at the same time, and then they're able to get them all.
Gotcha. So of these products on your site, which is mine on there anymore? Is that
no? I sold them all out because they take so long to make, and it's that's probably my flagship trap, honestly. But it just takes too long. I need to get that one mass produced at some point. But yeah, that's a wicked trap. So now I keep it to the more simpler designs.
Yep, love it. Zion, can you put up the pictures with Nick and the tanked cast members? Yep, those pictures.
Yeah, that was a pretty interesting story. So I went out to, I was going to Vegas quite a bit for my arcade business because there's a lot of conventions and stuff. And I snuck off from a tour and just broke away from the tour at ATM and just started looking in offices until I freaking found him, and then kind of pitched it to him on the fly. And then they're really cool with that. And then so we became friends, and then I was going out every week for about a month. But yeah, totally.
So tell us who we're looking at for those that don't know.
Wade King and his wife or ex-wife, I believe. He was one of the stars of Tanked. It was one of the longest running shows on TV.
Yeah, kiddos, whoever is watching, I don't know if my kids are outside playing or if they're watching. Zion's in here, but this is, you guys know these guys, right? We watched Tanked quite a few times. Just the crew. Nick was met with them, and so they liked the bubble trap, right?
Oh yeah, I made Bred a tank cleaner for a clownfish because that's his favorite fish, and I made a really wicked one for Wade because his is octopus. So I made a real cool octopus tank cleaner that was for 1.5-inch thick tank glass, I believe, because the one that he had at his house was a real big one. And then I made a real thick 1-inch thick tank cleaner for Bred with the clownfish. So, and that was my whole thing with the tank cleaners was I hated seeing ugly, drab looking tank cleaners on beautiful tanks on Instagram. And I was like, man, that just takes away from the whole thing. So I thought at the time, there needed to be more attractive tank cleaners. And I think there still needs to be something just better looking. If we put all this money into our tanks and then we got something that, most of them aren't very attractive. I think Flipper came out with some cool stuff.
Yeah, they did.
Since then. But man, back 5 years ago, all it was grays and blacks, and I felt it took away from the presentation of our tanks. So
yeah.
But
Josiah, Noah, you know those guys. They watch Tanked with me. Yeah, super cool, man. Let's check out your Shark Tank stuff. Zion, you want to put up a first picture for Shark Tank? And Nick, how did you get on Shark Tank? Talk about Neo Innovations tattoo removal.
So I started a Colorado Youthful Offender System. I was on the program development team. So we developed that whole program from scratch here in Colorado. And so I hated seeing kids get through the program because it was like a 5-phase program, phase 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they'd come through, they'd make it through the program. They'd change their gang mentality because we had a boot camp at the first of it. We had a boot camp, which I was a drill instructor for a while, but they'd get through the program.
Wait. You're a drill instructor?
Yeah. At a boot camp.
That's awesome, dude.
For kids, for gang members and criminals that they have the youthful offender system was the first time for the Senate Bill 94, where if you got busted with a weapon during a violent crime, they would offer you a suspended sentence if you made it through this program. So we developed this whole program from scratch, me and a small team, and these kids would get through. We changed their gang mentality. We'd get them out in the community, and then they'd come right back because they'd have stupid little jailhouse tattoos on their face. They'd have something on their hand. And back then in 96, 97, there was a lot of no visible tattoo policies. You couldn't even get a job at the convenience store back then. So I said there needs to be affordable tattoo removal for these kids or these families that don't have $300 a session to remove a tattoo. So I had a tattoo shop at the time because I've always had a side business, and more people were coming in for tattoo removal and cover-ups. And I was like, man, that's something I just need to do. So I researched tattoo systems, and laser was too expensive and it wasn't really that effective. So I started looking into IPL, and I designed a little IPL device. And that one there that you're seeing is the prototype, which I ended up going on Shark Tank with. And it wasn't the best design, but I think it was more entertaining than the design I was selling was a small little pen light version of it, which is really good at removing tattoos. But they wanted me to put that design on TV. So I went ahead and agreed to do that. And
so just the idea of being able to remove a tattoo on your own, right? Like self removal. Is that right? It wasn't specifically for businesses. It was something you buy it for
$40 and you could remove it at your leisure. And with my design, it just created a controlled thermal injury, and you get an immune response, and it doesn't break the surface of the skin. So it was just safer than laser. It was less likely to get an infection. It was only designed for like business card size tattoos or smaller that are dark ink. And I, from the most part, wanted it to be amateur tattoos, even though that tattoo that's on my arm that I have all these Swiss cheese dots in when I used to build them and test it, it will remove professional tattoos.
Wow.
But the cool part about my design, though, and here's the new design that
Can you put the new design on, Zon?
I don't know if this is the newest design, but the one you got is the pen light version that I was selling a whole bunch of, and that's a wicked little design right there. It removes.
What's this one?
That's the one I was selling all over the world for like 5 years.
Oh, okay.
And wow. And it removes pea-size to dime-size spots of a tattoo. So you got to kind of remove it like in a pattern if you're trying to remove like a large tattoo. But you get an immune response. And then I had a 60-day, no questions asked, money-back guarantee. So I was selling a whole bunch of them. And they worked. And that's the thing. And I think it worked a little too good, because I think when it comes to stuff like that, certain powers that be don't want cures, they want treatments. So FDA showed up at my door and said, you need to do this, 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 and this. So that's what we're in the process now of getting the FDA 510K exemption for this new design here, which has the magnetic tips. And that's part of my design that I have the patent, or I'm reviving the patent on, is these magnetic tips Tattoo ink is very magnetic because it has a high concentration of iron oxide in it. So when you do your treatments with these magnets, it draws the ink to the surface of the skin. So when you do a treatment, you get a better treatment because the tattoo ink is at the surface of the skin. So so this is the new design.
I hear it.
Yeah,
That's
it's got
awesome.
a cooling fan in it. I mean, it's pretty wicked.
That's so
But,
cool. I'm glad to hear that you're still innovating and that this idea is still moving forward. I think it's great, man.
And there's a nonprofit that I provide the devices to that still removes tattoos in jails and prisons all over the world with that device right there. If you want to look them up on IG, they're called a Soul Survivor, and they remove tattoos from sex traffic victims and ex-gang members with my device, and they do it all over the world because it's easy to get it into prisons because it doesn't break the surface of the skin, you know. Right. So it's easy for them to get approval to go and do it inside these prisons, jails.
I love it.
Yep.
So Neo Innovations, that was the company. Is that still the name behind the product?
I collapsed it because the FDA pretty much said you can't do it anymore. There's no FDA approved tattoo removal devices. Even though my device removed tattoos really well, I couldn't sell it anymore. And I could sell it, I just couldn't say that it removed tattoos. So my website was called tattooremovalthatworks.com. And so for 5 years, I was killing it. SEO was just anytime somebody entered tattoo removal, I was selling them like bing, bing, bing. My phone was going off nonstop all day. Loved it. But yeah, so they said I can't have tattoo removal in any of my advertising. And that was my website, Tattoo Removal That Works. I couldn't have tattoo removal in my website anywhere. So I tried changing it up to like a tattoo eraser.
Yeah.
You know, I tried, and it just, with the internet and the way Google and the search engines, it just sales just tanked. So I was like, the doctor I was that contacted me after Shark Tank, Dr. DeBartolo, he was owned part of the Chicago White Sox, and he was a Juris Doctor and a patent attorney, and he was a brilliant man. So he was the one that I co-wrote the patent with, and then we were trying to add my technology, which was the magnetic tips, to existing laser devices, which would have been huge. He passed away in the middle of it. So that's why now I have to revive that patent, which isn't an easy process, which I'm doing, but now I got to revive it and go through all of it again, you know. So.
Right.
But I'm in the process. I got a team that's willing to test it for me and the new device, the new design anyway.
That's awesome, Nick. I love hearing about it all. So what got you on Shark Tank? Like did you want to go on Shark Tank? Did you seek them out, or did they find your product and reach out to you?
They found me. They have like a PR, what do they call them? Back then it was season 4. So it was the most popular show on TV at the time. And I don't know where it is now, but it was very popular when I was on it. And they reached out to me, and I was like, no, I'm not interested. I'm doing fine without being on there. And I watched the show enough to know that if you do anything medical or anything, they kind of just laugh at you and make you look stupid. And I told the producers I'm not interested. And then finally they talked me into it. They said, look, when your money, your investors are going to come from the audience. They're not going to come from the billionaires. So I went on it, and it was awesome. Very awesome experience. I had a really good experience on the show, and I think I was able to get extra time with all the billionaires because we had a little technical difficulty when we were filming. So I got an extra 45 minutes where they turned the lights on, and we're just all kind of hanging out, which is pretty rare from what I found out. Yeah. There's usually never technical difficulties when they're filming. So being able to hang out with Mark and Robert and Kevin and Damon and Cuban, it was just cool. So I got a lot of good information about patents and how to file patents and when to file a patent and how you can pursue different designs while you're filing a patent. I just took advantage of the full opportunity, I guess.
You had Barbara was the other judge. Was that the
Barbara? Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Cool.
So it was cool. It was 47 minutes of filming that they condensed down to like 6-7 minutes or something. So a lot of it didn't get to air, which I wish it would have, because a lot of cool stuff happened during the filming. You know, it was a fun time. It was a really fun filming. I was able to
that's
play around with all of them quite a bit.
super unique experience, man. I think it's great. What would be your number one advice for anybody that has a product that one wants to seek out Shark Tank, and two, what would be your advice for going to market with an idea?
Well, you know, if anybody's an entrepreneur or an idea person, that, you know, everybody thinks they have great ideas, but you need to get prototypes built and get it to market. You know, don't do it on Amazon, do it on eBay or your own little Shopify store, and listen to your customers, because the market is brutal. So you'll find out real quick if your ideas are crap, you know. So you need to have an idea, get a prototype, get some sales, get feedback from the market, improve your product, and it's all driven by sales. The reason I was on it, because they could see that I was selling a whole bunch of these tattoo removal devices, and I had a 60-day money-back guarantee, no questions asked. So that was very, you know, Kevin O'Leary, which a lot of people don't like, but he just loved my numbers. He loved the sales that I had. So everything went really well.
He saw opportunities for scaling, probably.
So you got to get sales, and you got to test your prototypes, and you got to get over the fear of being embarrassed or people making fun of you, or because usually it's family and friends that keep you from pursuing your dreams. So you need to be able to get past the criticism from family and friends, and you shouldn't even care about if strangers say anything about you. So just get your prototypes out, test them, test, improve, test, and then get sales, because that's what they look for. You know, I haven't watched the show in years, but you know, if you watch it, you'll see that's the first thing they want to know is sales. How many sales do you have? Even if it's a great idea, you got to have sales. You got to show.
You got to have the numbers.
Yeah.
Prove the concept first, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love that. So, who's your favorite shark? Of
Kevin was awesome.
Kevin.
Everybody hates Kevin, or did at that point. I think he's nicer now.
You're dead to me.
But he was awesome. Everybody else was real. Barbara wasn't very nice. Damon was funny, and there was a lot of joke cracking. Of course, if you watch my episode,
I tried getting like some snippets for this live stream, and I couldn't get it. I was so mad.
They scraped them all from the internet, and now you got to pay. And I think there's a website where you can pay to watch like episodes. And it used to be on YouTube. It used to be everywhere. Everybody used to watch.
That's what I thought. I thought it was on YouTube, and then I couldn't pull any. Man, we've bought like all of the seasons. So if I was planning a little better, I could have maybe screen recorded from Amazon. But
yeah, you probably could have. If my episode's still up, when I did it, they said it was the most controversial product they ever had on the show.
I'm sure, man. That makes sense. Dang.
Yeah. But it was because of the misperception, and that's what I think made it really good for TV, because they were thinking it was a laser. And my device that I sold a lot of, this one's 3.5 volts, so super ultra low power, very safe. And they wanted it to look. That's why they wanted me to show the corded version. And I said, I don't sell that one. That was like the first prototype from a long time ago. And they're like, well, you can't. We don't want you to show the small one. We want you to show the big one. So, but yeah, I went the opposite direction. Most tattoo removal devices are 220, 800 watt, and I'm like at under 5 volts.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
If y'all have any questions for Nick about tank mates, about products and bringing them to market, about his time on Shark Tank, anything, drop them in the comments. We're keeping an eye on them. What's up, Tactical Reef Keeping? Thanks for joining. Rick, what's up, dude? I don't know if I said hi to you or not. What's up, Nick Chan? Thank you for joining. I appreciate y'all. Just drop your questions in, and until then I'll keep asking questions. Nick, if you could do one thing differently with that experience on Shark Tank, what would you have done differently?
I would have been stood hard on being able to show the small device, the little 5 volt one, because I went on the show with the prototype, and then when it went nuts, I'm talking, I was getting thousands of emails a day, hundreds of calls a day, customers and investors, and everybody wanted the corded version. And I was trying to upsell them to the little rechargeable pen version, and no. you know, because everybody thinks more power, you know, and I tried telling them it works better because the high powered one used a halogen bulb and my low powered one used a xenon bulb, which was pure white light. So the tattoo ink absorbed more of it. And it was just, I couldn't get into these conversations and make them understand. So I had to sell a whole bunch of the corded versions, which were harder to make. And I had to hire like 5 people to work 24 hours a day. I had to rent a space and train people how to make them. I mean, it was crazy at that time because I had no idea it was going to blow up like that. And then luckily they got good enough results with the corded version. They ended up buying because I would tell them after they bought it, like, look, there's a better version of this and it's cheaper and it works better. And so I was able to flip them into the smaller version, and then it just snowballed and went nuts, you know, all over the world. But I wish I would have just stuck with said, no, I want to be able to show the best design. And then they might have not aired me, but it kind of hurt my business because I went right to Amazon. I had been selling them on eBay in my store, but I went ahead and threw them on Amazon after being on there, and I got some bad reviews on Amazon, which just once you get 30% bad reviews of a product on Amazon, you're done.
So it's great to, like you said earlier, to come to hit the market through your website, prove the concept, prove that there's a demand, refine your product, and then hit Amazon.
Yeah, right now Amazon's less than 1% defect rate, so you can't have have 1% return rate or defect rate, or even negative feedback. So they force you to be a good seller. Whatever products you're selling on Amazon have to be dialed in, and it's not easy as a handmade business like I am to keep that quality up all the time. You know, so the consumer is so picky. You know,
the advice you're giving, you basically did that with your traps with Tank Mates, right? Like you got your site up, you proved the product, you have all the social accounts. I know you have tons of videos that go viral, especially on TikTok. I mean, you're hitting millions of views on TikTok, and you got a licensing deal, right? Like that with Nios, like one of the top reefing companies. So you obviously took your advice, and that's good stuff. What's up, Rick?
And if anybody, then if you can get a product licensed, it's it's a feather in your hat for sure. You know, because it's pretty tough out there. You know, you're competing with a lot of. That's why you got to be so distinctly unique and different than anything else out there. So Tank Mates, I've really been trying to. Everything I put out, I want it to be Tank Mates. Like you look at that and like, oh, that's Tank Mates. You know, so. It's something that's never been seen before.
Yeah, well, your product, your actual products are unique, and just like their laser removal. I mean, that's super unique. I didn't even know that was a thing until I saw your
just keep it simple. Product. Under 5 volts. It, costs $30 to make this. Sell it like $240, $260. You know, but once you got it, you got it. You know, you can remove who knows how many. You know.
Love it. But what's up, Dennis? Thank you for joining. Hey, let's get a fish trap to the viewers. So, Zion, we're going to do 2 truths and a lie. The first person to comment the lie of these statements will win a fish trap from Nick. And let's see, what's our... I'm scrolling. All right, here we go. 2 truths and a lie about Nick. First person to guess the lie first wins a bubble trap from Tank Mates. Number 1, Nick is a single father of his son with full custody since birth. Number 2, Nick lives in the same neighborhood as technology innovator and Shark Robert Herjavec. And number 3, Nick helped develop 2 juvenile dialectical behavioral therapy programs. First person to answer the lie correctly will win one of the Tank Mates bubble traps. Number 2 is the lie. That's what Rick guessed. Is Rick the first person to guess? Yep. Man, Rick, you on top of it. You nailed it. Yes, the lie is Nick does not live in the same neighborhood as Robert Herjavec. But you got to tell us about the Rick. Send me your shipping address and email, and I'll get that over to Nick for
And to
you.
clarify, I'm not single. I'm pretty much married, but I've raised my son myself. So that's kind of like a term that's used for men that raise kids that are on their own. So I'm not single.
Did you hear that, ladies?
Clarifying that I'm very much in love with an amazing woman.
Oh, shout out to your lady.
Yeah, very happy.
Shout out to your lady and your son.
Yes, Julie and Nick Jr.
Oh,
loves in my life right there, and our dogs. As you can, I post a lot about our dogs. So.
I've seen them.
Yeah.
All right, so Nick, tell us about the behavioral therapy programs.
So it was DBT was developed for borderline personalities, adult females for the most part, and Marshall Lenningham did some research with it and started using it with dual diagnosed adolescents. So you have to have like a treatment, a substance abuse diagnosis, and maybe a behavioral diagnosis. So just developed programs from scratch. Colorado didn't have a juvenile program, so I was part of that development team developing that in the late 90s and early 2000s. And then in 2006, I was brought on as the program development team for Sol Vista Youth Service Center and got certified in dialectical behavioral therapy. And I was also training therapists how to use DBT with adolescents, which is new. Nobody had really done it before. So we kind of modified an adult treatment model and started using it with kids. And they took the most violent, aggressive kids in the state of Colorado and they put them all under the one roof in a brand new 20-bed facility. And it honestly didn't work that great. A lot of assaults and a lot of bad behavior. It was just too hard to keep that level of offender with mental health issues that close, together. So I abandoned that. They pulled funding from that facility, and I went into another facility, and then I ended up going into Shark Tank. But then I went back into DBT. And I got attacked about a year ago, and they crushed my skull and
Wow.
Beat me up pretty bad and tore my supraspinatus tendon and dislocated my shoulder. And so that's the surgery I got to have tomorrow, is to fix what didn't heal right. But that all being said, I have a passion for helping at-risk youth and trying to do my part to help some of these kids that are just kind of they don't have any guidance. But it's a tough field right now. It's if there's a kid in the system, they almost, sad to say, deserve to be there. So yeah, good stuff. Nothing bad about it, but it's just I'm done with it. I think I've did my time. 20 years.
Yeah. Oh wow. No. Yeah. Bobby, thank you. Carl, what's up? Thanks for joining. Walter, what's up, man? Thank you for joining. Rick, congrats again on the bubble trap. I believe, let's see. Which ones does he have to choose from, Nick?
He can do the magnetic version. If he can hear me, just let me know what tank glass thickness he has, because that really drives my recommendation.
Okay, cool.
So if he'd let me know what tank glass thickness he has and maybe even what type of fish he's going after.
Great. Did you hear that, Rick? Awesome. All right, hey, let's do a rapid fire, Nick. I'm going to say some reefing terms, and you're just going to tell me the first thing that comes to your mind.
Perfect.
Fish.
Damsel.
A damsel. Man, I got bad memories with damsels, dude. Those
that little fish made me a lot of money.
Yeah, I bet, man. Everybody's trying to catch damsels. Oh man. All right, that was good. Shark.
Shark Tank, just from my experience. I don't know why, but that comes to mind.
Yeah. Coral.
Zoas. I love them. I don't know.
I'm with you. They're addicting once you start getting into designer names, man. That's a trap.
Mm-hmm.
I've been there, done that. I've been getting more into SPS here lately. I don't have a whole lot of zoas. There's some rocks that are covered in polys and
Mm.
some zoas, but I'm really enjoying the SPS right now.
Oh, you got to
A
be
lot of
on
a
it
lot of
though.
LPS, but
God bless you. You have a beautiful reef tank. I mean, there's so many amazing tanks out there.
thank you, man. I appreciate that. I got a little scared during Hurricane Milton. The water was down 2 inches below that big agro colony at the top,
Mm.
and it was out of water for about 4 hours, from 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. until I got my generator going. And I have a pump on a backups in the tank, but my return pump was not on it. So water was moving. It wasn't moving through the sump, and the water level was down. But I mean, you can see it right there, dude. I didn't lose any of
Beautiful.
it. I thought for sure the tips were gonna bleach out on me or something, but it's a
Yeah,
week later, we're still jamming.
yeah. God bless you. That looks amazing. And
Thank
everybody in the Florida area and whoever was affected by that, that was able to get through that safe and not have any loss of life, human
you.
or pet.
Yeah, it's crazy. We have a shelling group, and everybody posts their pictures and giving us updates of how they're doing, and a lot of people going through a lot right now. But
Yeah. Hmm.
yeah, it's crazy. All right, so let's do lights.
Um, Orphic.
Orphic.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we have some viewers that are using Orphics.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, they're reliable.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, I know I'm not in it the way you are. It's a long game for me with these corals because I got this facility I'm building and we're going to do a lot more with corals here going forward in 2025. And so I'll be testing the waters a lot more. So you'll be seeing me hopefully not take too many lumps here in the near future, but I'm
Yeah.
going to take a go at it for sure. So I'll learn
I
more about what's going on.
all right. How about water change?
I don't mind them. So,
I hate them, dude. I hate them,
oh,
but
it's huge tanks.
they're necessary unless you really have a system. You have
Yeah.
your parameters dialed down, and you know exactly what your tank
Mhm.
needs so that you can be dosing. But
Oh,
yeah, I'm not a fan of water changes.
I can only imagine. Now, how, like when people use alcohol and vodka dosing and all that stuff, have you messed around with any of that?
I haven't gotten into that. I do hydrogen peroxide
Mhm.
dosing, and I'll do it maybe like once a week, and I'll add like 3 ounces to the tank. But and it, of course, I dip corals in it. Not all of them. A lot of softies don't do so well with it.
I have a shop
Nemomies,
down in
obviously.
Texas, and he had his whole shop, all beautiful corals all throughout, and all the tanks plumbed, and he had them all. He's pulling vodka out of these vodka bottles behind every tank, and it's just vodka dosing this
Yeah, isn't
whole.
that crazy? There's a couple people in Reef Tank Life, our Facebook group, that do vodka dosing, and they share
Swore by it,
pictures.
you
It
know.
it it sounds ridiculous if you've never heard of it, right? You're like, what? You're dosing vodka?
Yeah,
Even
it was
pouring
cheap as fuck.
peroxide into your tank? Like, what the heck is that, man?
Yeah,
It doesn't make any sense.
yeah.
Anyways, awesome, man. So, what's next for tank mates?
So we're building this awesome new building. I had a 3,000 square foot shop that I was working out of, but it was a real industrial area, really loud, a lot of welding, grinding going on all throughout the building. There was a lot of construction, so there's a lot of dust, a lot of brick. It was awesome, and I loved it. And my buddy Ryan was very gracious with the space and everything, and we were there for 3.5 years, and I got beat up real bad at work, and I had to shut my shop down. So we ended up deciding, me and my love of my life decided to start planning this building that we're building now. And so it's going to be an exotic plant greenhouse with a lot of carnivorous plants and exotic plants and
Awesome.
aquatics. And then we're going to have the workshop's going to be upstairs with the lasers and everything, so there'll be no fumes or nothing will get around the contain in the sterile area for the coral tanks. And then it's going to have a presentation area and a social media little area where we're going to present some tanks. And
I
so,
saw you post some pictures on your profile. You had it looks like you guys are actually under construction. You're
yeah,
building out the building. Do you care if Zahn shares some of those
uh,
plans?
no,
Yeah,
go
okay.
ahead.
Zahn, you want to put those on stage? Yeah, okay, cool.
So
So
yeah,
just
if you look in there, it's got the front, bottom, first 10 foot in by 35 foot is going to be greenhouse, and it's got two sections of the wall that's going to have peekaboo tanks that go into the showroom kind of area, and then the part on the left is going to be a little loft studio, really cool micro loft studio for my son, and there's going to be a peekaboo tank in between the greenhouse and his little loft. And then there's going to be hopefully another tank that's going to be peekaboo through the wall from on both them walls. And so there's going to be some really cool tanks in there, possibly a tank in the ceiling that you can view for looking up into the workshop. So it's going to be something different. It's going to be a spectacle for sure.
that's
And
all. So you're doing a little bit of everything. You're
yep,
planted tanks, saltwater tanks,
mhm.
coral, fish only. You got carnivores, plants. My son Josiah, my wife just commented on it. He's all into that. So that's
Yeah, so,
awesome,
and
dude.
that's long game. Who knows when the vision, if it will ever be finished? But that's the plan, is to have a lot of saltwater, aquaponics, a lot of beautiful flowers, carnivorous plants, exotic plants, a lot of orchids. Me and my girl love orchids. We love flowers. We love fish. We're like perfect for each other, honestly, because we're both into all the same stuff.
That's
But
awesome.
so it's about 2 months away from being done. Our windows were delayed about a month, so that set construction back. It's got its own septic system. I got drains in the greenhouse, drains in the presentation or the showroom area. It's just going to be a real awesome, it's going to be pretty cool. So yeah, we're excited to get it going and start showcasing some of the cool stuff that's been in my head. And I got some really cool tank designs coming, and it's all from the perspective of a captive pet fish. I think we talked a little bit about it off, but
Yep.
all of our aquariums, our whole life, were set up from what we want, the fish keeper. And I flipped it just like I do everything. And when I meditate, like, what would I want if I was a captive pet fish that was plucked out of the ocean? Because a lot of people were giving me kind of hazing me about my gravel, my rainbow gravel that my son picked out, man. And so
Just hang around Facebook groups. You'll
that's
get
not
all
cool,
that.
man. I mean, people should be able to put anything in their tank that's fun and brings happiness to their lives. And especially with these fish, they need enrichment devices. And I was touring around the country, going to the best aquariums in the States, and they all had these sheds, huge sheds, because I'd always get the VIP tours. So I got to see the background of what goes on in these aquariums. And they have these huge sheds back there that they let the sea creatures play with all these toys. And they say it reduces aggression, reproduction, growth rate, all this cool stuff. And I'm like, man, pet fish don't have any of that. And I think a lot of the reason why people don't put that stuff in their tanks or even develop product lines along that is because you get hazed if you have anything plastic in your tank or anything that's not natural. And when people would talk smack to me in the DMs, they'd be like, you look like you're playing with your fish. We shouldn't be playing with our fish. You just leave them alone. And I'm like, no way, man. These fish were used to, they used to be wild. They used to be able to swim wherever they want. Now you got them in a little box and they have no stimulation. They're not, just like a dog plays with a ball and a cat chases a laser and a ferret chases a fur and all that stuff we get for birds and all of our other pets. But yet fish, who we're finding out, because a lot of research is coming out, they're smarter and have longer memories than some of our dogs and cats.
That's why they come to the tank as soon as they see you, but
Yeah.
not when they see everyone. The person who feeds, that's when they go to that feeding spot. I see that with my fish every day, man.
So fish are amazing. And so I've developed a whole line of enrichment devices that use the back base of the tank cleaner to change out the different toys and the different puzzles and stuff and the food puzzles and stuff I came up with. And so that'll be coming out later. And the tanks that I designed are all different shapes. They're not square in boxes no more. They're all different. This new system that I designed, they can be any shape, literally. So it'll have little tunnels that just like tunnels that can go to a different tank. And I mean, it's just going to be really cool playing around with that. So I got some cool stuff coming out.
I love it, man. I can't. We'll definitely have to do like a walkthrough tour when you get that going, and
Mhm.
I that's gonna be awesome, man. I love that you're doing a little bit of everything in there, and I really can't wait to see it. And orchids, man. That's I
Oh,
love plants, but I have so much trouble keeping orchids, and I live in Florida. The trick that I found is just mounting them to palm trees and forgetting about them outdoors. But every time I bring them indoors, I kill them.
yeah, we've been real lucky with the ones we have, and we hope we're going to keep this going because we got a few in the house that do really well, and you know, they're supposed to grow upside down, so we're going to do that in the greenhouse. So we're going to hang them upside down.
That's cool, man. I can't wait to see that. It's going to be fun. So, will this be a facility that's open, or for is this business to business,
It'll
or
just be closed. I mean, I'll give tours to people that want here and there possibly. We're still planning on trying to do a huge scale something at Water Tower Place where my shop was. It got some interest from universities to oversee the experiments I'm going to be doing with these new tank designs. So once we kind of prove the concepts that I came up with, hopefully we can do a large scale open to the public aquarium over at Water Tower. My buddy Ryan McWilliam, who owns it, he's all over it. If we could just try to get a little more interest, but during COVID, it was just tough. It was tough to get anything going during COVID, and even post COVID. Getting consistent material and supplies is still kind of tough right now. So, in time, I think we'll probably do something large scale that's open to the public.
love it, man. I can't wait to hear more, and I appreciate you sharing about your future plans. I appreciate you sharing your experience with Shark Tank and information behind bringing products to market. If anyone has any questions, now's the time to drop them in the comments so we can ask Nick. But Nick, what advice would you give to viewers that have products that they want to bring to market for inspiration? Because it's tough. It's hard to uh, get past certain milestones. What would you say is the one thing that keeps you inspired when you have an idea and things aren't necessarily going your way?
I think what a lot of people do is they create from the place of what they think or have been told that the customer wants. And there was a book I read and talked about Walt Disney, and I think even Ray Kroc had the McDonald's guy that started McDonald's. Don't just give the customer what they want; give them what they don't even think was even possible. So I've always thought that. Don't just give them what you know they want. Create something that they didn't even know was even possible. So with everything I design, that's what I do. Is I try to create stuff that not only solves a problem, but I want to solve it in a very simple way, which the most genius ideas I feel are simple. And if you look at anything that I've designed, it's simple. The bubble trap, my tattoo remover, 5 volts, and all the other stuff that you guys have probably seen me post. It's very simple stuff, thought of in a very different way, but still very simple. Don't just give the customer what they want, give them what they didn't even think was possible. And that's a way to always be not only, I think Grant Cardone says this a lot. I don't know if it's his quote, but you don't want to compete. You want to dominate. You really don't just want to be in the game. You want to dominate the game. So, and the only way you can do that is if you do something exceptionally better than what's on the market. And so if you can design something, if you're going to spend the time to design something, because I see a lot of people selling a little this and that and little 3D printing just going nuts, and they're just selling a bunch of cool stuff, but not really like set you back. Like, you know what I mean? And they have the ability, because I see the stuff they're designing. I'm like, man, if they would just take it and push themselves a step further, because they got the design capabilities, unless they're just pulling stuff off of, the sites where you can get the files for free. But the stuff that I've seen has been really cool. And whoever's designing that stuff, if they could use that design capability, they could, with 3D printing and these other immersive resin printers, they could set the world on fire if they just push themselves to really, and meditate, meditate, really just pray and meditate and ask for guidance and brilliant ideas just kind of come about when you ask a higher power. So
I love that, man. Imagine back, 15, 20 years ago. Before, I mean, the tools now that we have at our fingertips for coming, innovating and creating products. And my son, I mean, he's Zion.
yeah,
He's creating. He's like, he learned how to 3D model, and then he learned how to 3D print. And it's like I tell him something, and he's like, yeah, man, I can do that. And he's just like jamming. He can make things happen. But that
love
was
that.
like unheard of back when we were growing up.
There's $1 million idea in every room of the house, always, kitchen especially, garage. I mean, there's always a better, simpler way to do something. There always is. And Mark Cuban told me, and it's not even about function. He told me with my tattoo remover, he said, man, even if this thing doesn't do what you say it can do, you're going to be fine. Because this is after I didn't get the deal. And he said, and being that it seems like your device does do what you say it does, he's like, you're not going to have any problem at all. So, because he said ideas sell, that was the point he was making, is that. So, just start figuring out ideas. How can I do something better? I'm always looking at ways to do things simpler and better. And whatever you're into, don't just go to work and waste your time there. Be looking around, look at everything, every process, whatever problems are really consistently coming up at your work, figure out a way to develop a product for that. And it doesn't have to be a physical product. It could be a treatment model, a protocol, it could be a whole bunch of different things, Yeah. So just thinking physical, it could be an IP, some kind of intellectual property. So
That's awesome. Zion, put mom's comment back up there. Our son Noah, he prays for insight when he's creating, and this dude comes up with some of the coolest stuff. And he creates things with the most basic of supplies too. He's like, you give him some cardboard and duct tape, and this guy's like making just all kinds of things. It's crazy, man.
Man,
Shout
get him
out
a little
to
eBay
Noah.
laser. Supervise them, but get them a little $300-400 eBay laser. They're really cheap. Have them just learn how to design and 2D and design little this and that. And with every tool that I get, it opens up more opportunities for more products. So as I upgrade my lasers, like I'm going to upgrade the laser that I have now to a hybrid laser and be able to cut metal and non-metal and do fiber laser color marking for these tanks that I'm designing. And your mind just starts going nuts with the possibilities when you have a new tool. So once he starts playing around with lasers and 3D printers, if you allow him, he'll progress into the next tool. And then once his mind is kind of fed these these parameters about what he can do with a laser, and then he starts designing in 3D, and then it just starts building, his brain just starts, anyway, that's how it goes. You just start going nuts. And then you're like wishing, I can't wait. Like I've been wanting this hybrid laser for 4 years, and now the prices have finally came down to where you can get a hybrid laser for like under 10 grand.
Yeah.
You're like 60 grand 5 years ago.
You got my wife, she's on it, man. She's like, give me the information on that laser, Robert. When she calls me Robert, that means
Get on
things are gonna happen. Hey, Carl's got a question. Are you gonna be keeping reptiles at your new place?
We got a turtle that we're going to be taking on. We already got him coming. And then we went to a exotic plant and reptile show about a month ago and saw some really cool stuff. My woman's not too hip on it, but we'll see how that goes.
That's awesome.
So we got the building up.
I'm gonna ask a question for my son Josiah, because I know he's wondering. You can have ants.
I was thinking about
some
doing
insects,
a whole ant farm colony, and just show. And then so I was thinking of doing something cool with that.
That's awesome. My son collects queen ants, and he raises colonies from the queens. He has one colony. I don't know what the type of ants they are, but he's got like 1,000 ants in this colony now, and he just keeps adding like these different nest box and little outworlds, and it's so fascinating to watch. And yeah, man, that's something cool for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to hire him as a consultant when I do it to see.
Yeah.
Yep. That's awesome that he's doing that, and hopefully he's looking into it from a behavioral side, like looking at their behaviors, what drives their behaviors, all of that. And
Yeah, he sits there for hours. He could tell me everything about them and who's doing what and what
mhm.
job is for which one. And he's feeding like 30 crickets a week to this colony. He's always bugging us to take them to go pick up crickets. But,
Very cool. Yeah, I love that.
yeah.
We got to get our kids into stuff like this because the world is so this, you know,
Oh
and
yeah.
getting something tangible where they're using their hands and using their brains to design and create. That's what gets the dopamine and serotonin and all those chemicals that a lot of people try to cheat and get it from vaping, drugs, alcohol. I tell my son all the time, the world is full. God has given this all these amazing, beautiful, natural things to get dopamine, serotonin, all these epinephrine, all these feel-good chemicals. You just got to fill your life with those things. And then when you do, if you do venture and try drugs or whatever, then it don't do much for you because you already got your levels up because you appreciate flowers, babies, music, good music anyway. You know what I mean? You just surround yourself with beautiful things that raise your endorphins that make you feel good. And then the vape and all that crap isn't that alluring to you because it ain't that. And then, but if you deplete yourself of all those natural things that raise your, levels of the hormones that make us feel good, then you attack and then you latch onto that kind of stuff. And I don't think everybody's teaching these kids that, to create and solve problems, and get involved.
You're killing it, Nick. You're killing it, man. Keep on, man. My wife said you're preaching it right there.
Oh, but I love helping kids. I that's what I did for 20 years, and I love seeing their eyes bright up and they get it. If they start just learn, it's all around us. Your dogs, your pets, your parents. Hopefully, if they're loving, appreciating art. The beautiful things are all around us. Stay away from watching the TV and the news and all the junk that's on these phones. And
there's no good news in news.
Yeah, right. So yeah.
It's the truth, man. Thank you for sharing, Nick.
Yeah, no
so
problem.
y'all have any more questions for Nick before I let him get back to his family? Thank you to your wife and son, Nick, for
they're awesome.
Letting us steal you for an hour and a half.
I'm smelling my I might as well call her my wife because I love her more than life itself. But she is the amazing cook. Like she cooks better than any. And I've grown up with some amazing cooks in my life. And, she blows them all out the water, and her mom's even better. But so yeah, chicken tacos is like right here. So I'm like smelling it right now. So I'm like, yeah, ready.
I appreciate you. Appreciate them too. Hey, Rick wants to know which trap he should get, but I'm thinking you probably have some questions to ask him before you can recommend.
Hit me up, text me. My number's all over the internet, or just Facebook or IG or whatever. Let me know what tank glass thickness he has, and if he's got multiple tanks. I always recommend the hydraulic traps because they can work on all different tank glass thickness. And if he's got, it just depends.
Rick's got a lot of tanks, so I think Rick. I mean, you just let Nick know what you want to do with it. I'm thinking you should probably go for one of the larger traps, just because you have so many tanks.
And I can make these. I don't know many people know, but I can make these up to 26-inch diameter. So
whoa,
I can get these globes up to 26-inch diameter, and I've only did 16 is the biggest one I've made so far. 16-inch diameter. So
that's crazy. What's mine like? What's that?
That's a 6.
It's a 6.
Yeah,
that's pretty big too. I mean, all of my fish could fit in it.
Yeah, that's 16.
Crazy.
I made some huge traps for, and I got a sport trap that I'm developing too for stream and lake and ocean. So I got some cool stuff coming out.
So you're using what, like a CNC? What is it? CNC machine? Is that right?
I'm just using laser right now. Just
that's not the same thing. That a CNC machine's not laser.
It's like a router.
Okay.
A router here soon, and the hybrid laser and the fiber laser for the color marking, and that'll cut stainless steel up to 1.5 millimeters. So, and then just lasering right now. Got away from the resins for the most part. I still use a little bit of resins, but yeah, just trying to not whittle my hands into nubs making these things, because if I run ads on Google and I can't keep up, you know, there's a demand out there for sure, you know, for good traps, fish traps.
Catch my kids when they're out running around and not coming inside. Get one of those 26-inch traps for them.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Well,
cool.
Nick, I appreciate your time, dude. It's been great chatting with you, and I'm looking forward to connecting with you again as you start getting that facility going, man.
Yes, it's going to be pretty amazing. It's everything that I'm bringing to the table this time has I've never seen nothing like it. It's going to be all, like I said, from the perspective of a captive pet fish, and what a fish I feel would want to have if it was plucked out of the ocean and put into an aquarium. Like, you know, there's a lot of research around changing their environment routinely, and that's not being done. Most times you get our aquariums and they're just there for years and nothing changes. I mean, the tank decor a little bit sometimes, but the height or the direction they're facing, none of that changes. But my tanks will change all that.
Love it, love it, love it. Hey, Rick, I dropped the link to tankmates.com in the chat for Facebook and YouTube. Y'all check it out. And Nick is, man, he's everywhere. He's on Facebook. He's on X. He's on Pinterest. He's on Instagram. He's on TikTok. I don't even know what that little icon with the robot and the little antenna is. What is that, Nick?
Reddit.
What is it? Reddit?
Reddit.
Oh, that's Reddit?
I think so.
Okay, cool. I'm on your site. I was just looking at all the social accounts. But yeah, you're on. Are you on YouTube also?
Yeah, I was on YouTube. I don't do much on it. It's just my social media manager, honestly, is moving to Mexico Thursday. So Art's been with me for 8 years, and he's moving to Playa del Carmen right outside of Cancun. So
I've chatted with Art on Instagram and Facebook, I believe.
Yep. So he'll hopefully come back on with Tank Mates here after he gets settled down there. We'll figure out how to bring him back on, and I can start managing all them accounts a lot better, because it's just me trying to do everything.
Yeah, well, take it easy, man. Don't overwork yourself. You're a generous guy, Nick. I appreciate you. I always see you helping others on the different social media platforms, and I just wish you all the best with your ventures, and pray for blessings and whatever you're doing, man.
Thank you. God bless you and your family and everybody watching, and whoever watches later on. Just, do your part and go out and vote and help us get through this tough time in this country and this world, and help, be the example you expect of others, and that's all you can do.
Right on, brother. I appreciate you, man.
Have a great night.
God bless. You too, man. All right, y'all, check out Reef Tank Life. I want to see pictures of your tank, so get over there on the Facebook page. Let's see some full tank shots. All right, y'all. Peace out. Thank you, Nick.